go! Let him go!
It was forever, and at the same time, just a moment. My grave is empty. I'm not a hashtag. And if these folks didn't intervene, that wouldn't be true.
I'm listening intently to 36-year-old Vaughxx Booker recount how he thought a group of white men who'd pinned him to a tree were going to lynch him on Independence Day.
The 4th of July didn't free everyone in this nation. That has been a constant struggle, and there is nothing more American, perhaps, than hanging a black man who's a human rights commissioner on Independence Day.
He's explaining to me how he believes the only reason we're able to have this conversation on this day is because allies circled him.
I was surrounded by a group of all white people, and most of them strangers. They were willing to put themselves and their bodies on the line to protect me, someone who was a stranger.
Vaughxx says what began as a beach outing with friends turned violent when the group shown here clashed with his group about allegedly being on private property.
You with your 5 white friends? You happy with your 5 white friends?
A trio of videos he shared in a detailed Facebook post about the incident have since gone viral. In it, he explains how he decided to go talk to the group after an initial tense encounter.
I know a lot of people have asked me why I made that choice to go and, have a conversation with someone that might be saying something racist. But I'm a black man that has grown up in Southern Indiana. I've always had to navigate that difficult road.
Vaughxx says his goodwill gesture failed and things quickly became dangerous.
Aren't you happy about that?
What do you really want to call me?
Do it, you nappy-headed.
What do you want to call me?
What did you think they were going to do to you?
I felt that they were going to try to do everything they could to seriously injure me and, if not kill me. And if I had a doubt, the doubt was removed when I heard one of them yell at, the friend like a command to get a noose. It's 2020. How do we not have a federal anti-lynching act?
Part of the reason is this man. Senator Rand Paul blocked a bill the House passed in February that would have made lynching a federal hate crime.
This bill would expand the meaning of lynching to include any bodily injury, including a cut, an abrasion, or a bruise.
What were your injuries?
I was diagnosed with a minor concussion. I also had abrasions and bruising and a neck strain and patches of hair that were ripped out of my head.
This happened in Vaughx's home state. He's from Indiana and grew up in a small city called Columbus where only 2.5% of the population is black. He tells me he's been trying to get a memorial to commemorate a lynching victim who was killed 150 years ago.
I had to realize that I had family in Indiana that were contemporary to that time, and what that event must have felt like for them, for the sheer horror of knowing that you could be taken and lynched at any moment. And never did I dream, as I was reading those accounts, that that could be my story.
Lynching was so commonplace in the US in the late 19th and early 20th centuries that estimates say there were 2 to 3 black people lynched weekly in the South. Lynchings were premeditated acts of violence used to instill fear. They became a popular way for white people to express their anger at free black people. The gruesome images from the group attacks were even placed on postcards.
This was certainly a boon to photographers and postcard dealers. Some of these images, like this one from Marion, Indiana, that man made 50,000 prints of that photo and sold them for 50 cents a piece before the governor of the state got him to stop printing.
Between 1877 and 1950, more than 4,400 lynchings took place in the U.S. In April 2018, the nation's first memorial dedicated to lynching victims was opened in Montgomery, Alabama. And before you say it, no, Indiana is not the South, but it has had lynchings and a well-documented history of deep Ku Klux Klan connections. At the peak of its power within the state, the KKK counted the governor as a member, half the legislature, and 30% of the native-born white men in Indiana. That history still affects Indiana today and shapes Vaughx's human rights work.
I'm charged with the enforcement of Oak County's Human Rights Ordinance. This is my first year on the Human Rights Commission, but I also chair our county's Affordable Housing Commission.
In a state where less than 10% of the residents are Black, seeing Vaughxx Booker retell his story to supporters at a rally to support him resonates.
I'm here alive today because folks stopped being bystanders.
Please let him go. We're going to as soon as you let him go. I'm going to.
They had a choice. They could have left me with these men who were attacking them as well. They literally put their lives on the line to save mine.
And though the rally ended in violence when the driver of a red car accelerated and injured 2 anti-racist protesters, what Vaughxx wants you to remember is what it means to be on the right side of history.
It's no longer acceptable to merely not be racist, that you must vote to adamantly be anti-racist.
Vaughxx says local law enforcement didn't arrest anyone, and what he wants is justice. The FBI has now stepped in.
An official investigation has been opened up by the FBI. We want this investigated as a hate crime. It was clearly racially motivated.
I don't want this moment to define my life, and I don't want the worst thing that's been done to me to define my existence. But I'm gonna stay as strong as I can.